because I ain't ever coming again. I'm gonna get up there one more time.
I am so excited you guys are here. Are you excited? Yeah. We did not think this was going to happen. We started planning this, was it before BC? Before COVID? Before Christ. We did not think it was going to happen, and I kept saying, do we cancel? Do we cancel? I'm not afraid of COVID. You know, Brady's not, but are y'all afraid of it?
No.
You know, and then what was the governor going to do next? And so we didn't know what was going to happen. So I'm just so glad you guys are here. And I want to tell you that there's a reason why you're here. And I want you to know that you have been prayed for. Each and every one of you has been prayed for a month before this event. There's a reason. Some of you may not know why you're here. Some of you may be like, what is keto? Some of you, every single person in here is in a different place in their keto journey. And we're going to learn a lot this weekend about where you are in this whole keto world. And I want to get to know where you are and where specifically that I can help you as a coach and where Brady can help you as a coach. That is our passion. That is a mission in life. My life took a turn about 3 years ago when I started my keto journey. And career-wise, person-wise, everything changed for our family about 2 years ago. And so a lot of you are starting to experience that. And when I was thinking about what do we want to talk about this weekend? You know, we can talk about all of the things. We can talk about how to do keto. Most of you have been through my program and you know the science behind keto. Most of you know, you are in a lane and you're moving there fast. You are getting to, you're getting to your goals. We're going to celebrate some people tonight who've reached their goals. Some of you are just starting and you're just like, I just don't know about this keto thing. I am scared of it. My doctor says funny things about it. I don't know where it stands. So everybody in this room is in a different place. And so when I was praying over, what do I share? What do these women and men, we got one guy in here, so I gotta be careful tonight.
We have two.
Sorry. One young man and one dad. There's no way out. But as I was praying about what to talk about, I have coached for 2 years. Brandy just became a certified keto coach. She is in charge of all of our members, which she does a fantastic job. We both have different coaching styles. And so it's always fun when you leave my program and go over to Brandy. They're like, they call me that she's so mean, Mom. With love. Yeah. She can hug you and tell you what the heck did you just do, and you don't even know what just happened. But as I thought about 2 years of coaching, I have coached over 800 clients now, and they've lost 8,552 pounds. I just looked at that this morning. There's a pattern with clients. And I'm starting to get the pattern, and I'm starting to become very passionate about this pattern. And so that's what my job is tonight, to talk to you. We have a full weekend. First of all, I need to know, Carrie needs to know, Carrie, right there, on Sunday, we are going to meet at a restaurant in Crawfordsville called Creekside Lodge. It's a beautiful restaurant. We test drove it when we came and test drove the trails that we're going to do tomorrow. We test drove it last time we heard it was incredible food. They're expecting us right on the river, so we're going to be outside on a patio. It's beautiful. But we need to know how many people are going so that she can call in the reservations. They're expecting about 20 of us. So if you know right now, raise your hand at lunch. It's going to be 11 o'clock on Sunday in Crawfordsville. Raise your hand now. If you don't know, then we're going to add you. So, Carrie. Are you counting, Carrie? Somebody, Darcy's counting. Okay. And if not, if you don't know now and you want to change your mind, we're not going to call it in until tomorrow. So, yeah, totally fine. So just see Carrie. So, and we'll just give them an estimate.
Yeah, I have 20 down already. So.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So when I talk about patterns with my clients, there's something really passionate that comes out in me because I walked this journey. I lost 120 pounds in a year. I walked it and I'm feeling it with you. And one of the things that I want to talk about today, and my job, is to talk about breaking free. So There is a reason why you're here. And I just want you to think throughout Brandy's talk, throughout my talk. Dawn is going to talk tomorrow morning, and then we're going to do something incredible tomorrow. I want you to put yourself in the picture. So many times when we listen to a speaker, we go to a conference, we listen. And we listen and we take all of this knowledge in. What I want you to do this time is I want you to put yourself in the story, okay? I want you to feel things that we're going to talk about. I want you to actually place yourself in what I'm talking about and convert it. How is this impacting your life? How am I feeling in this moment, okay? There's a reason why you're here. Maybe some of you are discouraged on your keto journey. Maybe you're looking at those before and after pictures of some of these people in the room and you're like, why can't I get there? I want you to open your mind and I want you to think about that this weekend. Is there something that is holding you down? We're going to talk a lot this weekend about weight. We're going to talk a lot about rocks. And guys, I just have to tell you something. I came here thinking, I know what I'm doing. I know what I do. I've got my speech here. I know what I'm doing. I don't need anything we're going to talk about, Randy. I don't need what you're going to talk about because we're speakers, right? Well, I was back there after you guys were taking a long time to pay. And God spoke to me and said, oh no, this is for you too. And you're going to understand what's on this rock. You're going to understand what I'm going to do tomorrow on the trail with this rock. Okay? So I want you to live this weekend. When Brady's talking, I want you to live it. I want you to put yourself in what she's saying, okay? And say, how does this impact me? This bag.
Don't do it.
This bag.
She can't lift it. She's a one.
Do you need an assistant? I do need an assistant.
55 pounds.
This bag is 55 pounds. Now, you guys, I might drop it on my foot. Just make sure I don't drop it on my foot. I want you guys to feel this. I want y'all to feel this. And I don't have a lot of time here. Some of you guys, how many of you lost 50 pounds? My gosh. You have to feel this bag. This bag. This was on our body.
No, that was like double.
Times 2.
Times 2 for mine.
Times
Yes.
2.5.
I want you guys to feel this. I want you guys to feel this, but don't put it on your foot.
You want me to pass it around?
You're doing great.
Heavy.
Come up here. Come up here. Get in line and come up
Who
here.
do you want?
Everybody.
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 I want you to feel this.
There's
Don't drop it
power
on your
in
toes because we did not put this in this whole place.
Add another 20 pounds. Oh my gosh.
All right. So next. Go
So
back.
Ellen, how would you be last?
Right.
Let
So
go.
you lost it? Yeah. Yeah.
Watch your toes,
Crazy.
Mom and Dad.
Crazy.
Next.
I should be looking like it's nothing because you carry those.
I know.
All right. Here we go.
Help you.
I got this.
Isn't that
It's great. I'm glad it's a Jan for.
I'm gonna
Put
be
it right here.
Put it right there.
It's time to
I know, it's terrible.
Seriously, what does it really weigh?
55.
55, for real.
All right.
That's about what I meant.
This is my exercise for the day.
Tomorrow is to wear this.
All right.
Yeah. Who's carrying that?
That's the fun part. But what if you guys get to carry this? I lift weights.
We're not gonna tell you who's gonna carry it.
Virginia?
Right.
Crazy.
What?
How much have you lost?
You did good.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Totally should have.
I saw it going down.
Watch your toes. Watch your toes.
Oh my God, no way.
It's 55.
Seriously?
Wow.
That's Randy,
I
weights
carry
that
that.
much?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no way. I just carry those.
Anybody else? Anybody else? No?
Now are y'all hot?
Careful, Darcy, you just wrestle the
Ellen
alligator.
doesn't know
That's why.
she's a baby woman. She does want to
Like
see
you
it.
make us. I know.
So,
So, what I want to ask you is how many of you would suddenly pick this up one day and say, okay, let's go. Let's go to work. And carry it around all day, not putting it down. This is what has left some of your bodies. That is what is left. How many of you would suddenly pick that up? So the problem is, how did we get here? That's what I asked myself. How did I get here? I carried 2.5 of these. How in the world did I do that? Where did it go? How did I not know? And so the fact of the matter is we would put it down right away and we would say, no way, we would walk away. But my question I asked myself was, why is our health any different? How is it that I put 120 pounds on and I didn't even know? I didn't feel it. I couldn't walk around the block. I was, breathless everywhere I walked. But how did I do that? And so we literally are trapped in the weight. And guys, I'm not just talking about physical weight. I'm talking about spiritual. I'm talking about emotion. We're going to talk a lot about emotional health tonight. We carry this every day, and we don't even think about it. And I'm talking, let's specifically think about our emotions. We carry this crap with us every day. And so I'm going to talk tonight about the reasons why we carry this. And guys, I'm still carrying this. There is something on this rock that tonight, as I change my clothes in the bathroom, I'm still carrying it with me. Why can I not put this rock down? Why can I not put this weight down? You think I lost 120 pounds, you think I would be happy, you think everything would be great. When you go through maintenance, you have a whole different bunch of battles. And we pick up these rocks, we put them on our shoulders, and we carry them. And there's reasons why we do this. So when I talk to you about these reasons, I want you to think about spiritual, emotional, and health. If you're dealing with weight issues, if you're dealing with strained relationships, if you're dealing with, spiritual, guys, I lost my joy. When I was 250 pounds, I lost my joy. I became a very angry woman. And so when I'm talking about whole health, I'm talking about whole health. So I want you to be able to kind of place your mind in 3 spots at once, okay? So it is my prayer. We prayed for you so hard. It is my prayer that tomorrow when we go out on the trails, that you're going to be able to take your baggage. You're going to leave it out there. And you're not bringing it back with you when we meet to debrief tomorrow night. I want you to find your identity again. I want you to find your health again. And it has been the privilege of our lifetime to be able to walk with you through your health journey. But there's also a responsibility that we have to help you hold your whole body health and your whole body healing. So, how did we get to this place without our minds even knowing about it? 1 pound at a time. It's very, very gradual. Guys, I tell my clients all the time, if you're in my recent class, I tell my clients all the time, not one of my clients that has told me about it, but not one of my clients has swung their car around and gone to Dairy Queen and gotten a blizzard. Just out of the blue one day. No, they did not do that. What they did, they stopped tracking one day. They put their carnimeter away and said, Monica, I don't have time to do that today. Monica, my nephew came over today and I don't have time to do that. There's so many things that happened. They didn't track one day. That's how they ended up at Dairy Queen 6 months later. You don't just pull into Dairy Queen and say, I need an Oreo blizzard. You know better. You know I'm in your head. I live in it. Your head. Some of y'all, I live on your refrigerator. Somebody told me that, I don't know if it was in here, there's a picture of me on their refrigerator. I don't know how to think about it. At least I'm not in the bathroom. Yeah. So, your pound by pound by pound, spiritually, emotionally, physically, came on with one choice you made. The next thing, you're at a picnic, a party picnic, and you put ketchup on your burger. There's more sugar in ketchup than there is a donut. You put a ketchup on thinking, that doesn't count. Watch my words. It happens time. It happens one relaxing at a time. Guys, there's not a time in the last 2 years that I've relaxed. I just don't, because I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to slavery. I don't want to go back to the way I felt before. I refuse to let up, and I understand my car is not going to pull into Dairy Queen. It's just not going to. Number one, I have too many clients that would see my van pull into to Dairy Queen, but it's not going to happen that way. And guys, the other thing is, as women, I'm going to talk to the women and the young man. No.
That's my best friend.
That's your As women, you've heard me say this, we've lost our identity. We are there for everybody. Guys, there is not one day at 3 o'clock on my calendar, it says go pick up the kids. Not one day. There was one day I forgot her this week. Okay, so minus the other day, there's none. We go pick up our kids from school. We do our things. Our calendars are chock full. Let me tell you, I know about your calendars because I'm asking you to schedule your weekly meetings with me, and you're like, no. I know how busy you are. We've given our identities to everybody else. We've forgotten who we are. We have forgotten what we were created to do. We've forgotten. And so, what gathers? The weight gathers. The weight gathers, life happens, we know the obvious. We eat fast, we eat crap. Is that a bad word? We eat it. But there is something else at play. And this is what's on my mind tonight. Like I said, I've coached over 800 people, and I see these patterns happen. I can tell on the phone call with you before it happens. I call her, I said, she's in trouble. I know it. I heard it in her voice. I know it. We gotta go. She'll show up at your house, by the way. But when a client is on the journey with me, they're all in at first. When I get that first intake call, they are all in. They are ready to go. They're ready to do everything I say. Nothing's gonna stop them. They do amazing. And the pattern is, you know what? How many pounds is it? 30 pounds. 30 pounds happens. Guess what happens at 30 pounds? There's two things that can happen. Number one, you're like, I've done this before. I have lost this weight before. I know exactly how to get it off. Guess what, guys? The way our body works, you won't get it off. Even doing keto, you will not get it off. Because if you cheat, if you go backwards, your body adapts to that, and there's a scientific reason on that. You won't know how to get it off. So you get overconfident. You say, I know how to get it off, so I might as well have that donut in the workplace.
With ketchup on it.
With ketchup. And so you take a bite. Or you'll say, you know what, these people have seen me do keto. I'm so tired of being the odd child of the group. I'm just going to put it on my plate. I'm just going to take one bite. That last bite is what knocks you to your butt. The other thing, and this is where I want to focus tonight on, is underconfidence. Something happens at 30 pounds, and I don't know, it's the enemy. Number one, something happens where you start to say, and when I say 30 pounds, I'm talking in a perspective of 100 pounds. So your 30 pounds may be 10, 15 pounds. You get underconfident, and you start to see flashes of the past. You start to see, I'm not worth it. Maybe you have a spouse that says what you're doing is stupid. Or maybe you're just like, I've tried this before, it didn't work. I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna fail, I can't do it. And the big one is I'm not worth it. The big one is you look at yourself and you start to see your new body in the mirror and you're like, no, I'm not worth it. And you begin to self-sabotage, literally self-sabotage. I have had women call me the day after they did it. I went and I got that donut. I did it. And I'm not sorry about it. They get defiant because they start to look at themselves and they start to say, I'm not worth this. I have a lot of pain for my family. I'm just not worth it. Guys, we hold on to pain. And there are counselors in here that know much more about this than I do. This is just observations that I've seen with 800 clients. You see, and these are things, the next 4 things I'm going to talk about are things that I personally walked through. We hold on to pain because it's comfortable. Pain is comfortable to us. Now, if the side where you're nearing your goal, sometimes that feels actually more uncomfortable than pain. Pain is familiar. We have dealt with this. I dealt with it for 25 years. This, on my knees for 25 years, that was comfortable to me. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know what no pain. The first time I bounded down the steps with no pain on my feet, I had to go back upstairs. I'm like, what in the world just happened? It was comfortable to me. Pain has become our friend. It really has. Just look around you. Look at all of the miserable people, the people who clothe themselves in miserableness. It's comfortable to them. We pick it up bits and pieces one by one, and the next thing we know, we're 100 pounds overweight. Or we have massive anxiety, or we have type 2 diabetes. Suddenly we look around and we see what a mess. But we didn't happen by just coming up to this table and picking it up, because we would put it down. He couldn't even pick it up, right? And personally, if I'm honest with you, and I hope it's okay to be candid about my journey, I found safety in the world of obesity. I found safety in that pain. I could hide the things that were going on inside from everybody. When that weight started to come off, it exposed things I didn't like. It exposed trauma. It exposed things that had happened in my past. I wanted to cover it back up immediately, like the blanket of shame. I want to get back under that blanket so I don't get hurt again, right? So it was comfortable to me. When we uncover the layers of obesity, and when I say obesity, I want you to think about mental health as well and physical health. When we uncover those layers of obesity, we uncover things that we don't want others to see. There were some massive things that I did not want my husband to see, and guess who was the first one to see them? Because he lived with me. I didn't want my husband to see what a hateful person I was. I didn't want him to see how actually depressed I was and physically ill I was. I didn't want him to see that. And so my temptation was to cover it back up. Put on the pounds again, because that was more comfortable to me than exposing what was really going on. Is it weird to say, I want you to think about this, that I leaned on those uncomfortable years like a security blanket? Can anybody relate to me? Those uncomfortable years, I leaned on them because I had that I knew was true. I didn't know what else was true, but I knew that uncomfortableness was true. If I lived as an obese woman, I didn't have to get up early in the morning and push my body for air cleansing health. I had an excuse. I didn't have to do that. If I lived with a cloud of depression over my head, I didn't have to worry about being happy, or for that matter, I didn't have to be worried about being real with myself or others. Depression was my crutch. It was normal, and it was my life. If I lived with high blood pressure in my pre-diabetic state, I would not have to push myself to get off the couch because the doctor will just hand you a pill. I didn't have to worry about that. If I lived with anxiety, I had 1,000,001 excuses on why I didn't have to make myself a better person. I could be angry and bitter with no consequences. Pain for me was comfortable. I want you to think about the life that you're living right now. And some of these are not going to apply to you, but some of them, you're going to look at it and say, oh, that's me. That's me. For everything you asked me to do, eat better, study God's word, exercise, guys, I had an excuse for why I couldn't do it. And I want you to think, right now, I want you to roll through your mind, what excuses are you using to not be healthy, body, mind, and spirit? We all have them. And I think it would be incredible this weekend if you got honest with yourself and said, I am not taking one single thing home with me this weekend. I ran. I decided when I was doing my weight loss journey, I was going to run a 5K with my sister, my other sister, Sherry. One day, you and I'll do it. You and I'll do the marathon. Sherry just got the 5K. I remember I had just lost. I had just reached my goal. I don't know if I was at my goal yet. I believe I was at my goal. And I remember somebody said I couldn't do it. You don't ever tell this coach she can't do anything. So don't even try it. Do not try it. And I remember saying, I can't run a 5K. I couldn't do that. There's a reason why that day that I ran a 5K. It was because when we got to the Dragon Hill, and that was when it went all the way up, it was in Winona Lake, we got to the Dragon Hill. I said, Sherry, and I refused to stop. I said, Sherry, I'm going to embarrass you at this point. I said, I'm going to run the Dragon Hill. And in reality, we probably looked like we were like
Dying.
still. In reality, it was probably like a slow motion walk,
Yeah.
but my knees were up and I said, I'm gonna embarrass you. And we had people coming by us. We had, the people that were fast were coming by us. We were going up Dragon Hill. I started shouting, I am done with depression. I am done with anger. I am done with obesity. And I started shouting it out. Guys, I have not gone back one time to pick that up. Tomorrow, we're leaving stuff out there. And we're not bringing them back. And we are going to leave here this weekend in complete freedom. And I promise you, if you're new to keto and you want to talk about the science of keto and you're like, Monica, you were supposed to tell us how to do keto, we're going to do that. There's going to be a time at the end, Randy and I are we're going to have a question and answer session. But I want you to break that 30-pound mark. Guys, I take it personally when I lose clients because I want so bad. Brandy wants so bad. Literally, this woman pushed me to have a membership program. I'm like, I'm a horrible coach. If I can't get them there in 7 weeks, I'm a horrible coach. And I fought her on that. She's like, no, these women need more. And so we're fighting hard. And so when I lose a client, when Brady loses a client to that 30-pound mark, it hits us hard. Because we know the victory on the other side of that 30 pounds. We know what happens when you heal body, mind, and spirit, when you leave that stuff out there. We know what happens. We also know what happens when you don't fix the inside. You're working hard to fix the outside. You're doing all those carbs right. You are logging. I've had this happen, guys. Perfect macro trackers. Perfect. But they were failing. I'm like, what in the world? It's because they were not healing on the inside. A lot of my clients get mad when they have a stall, when their body has a stall. What they forget is the inside has to heal. If you don't heal body, mind, and spirit, you're lopsided. You're lopsided, and it's going to be what I call the Weight Watchers circle. Circle of life. Gain, lose, gain, lose, gain, lose. I want to get you over that 30-pound mark, and I want you to have a life transformation where all three things are healed. Second thing is, we look desperately for safety. So we gravitate, as natural human beings, we gravitate to what we know, what we love. That's why I loved watching what Carrie and Darcy designed for us tonight with my new best friend. I would gravitate towards people I know, and I'd want to go catch up with them. When instead, we're supposed to gravitate towards what feels uncomfortable at the time. So sometimes, as we're looking desperately for safety, we want to gravitate towards what we know, like our past. Maybe we had a bad past. We want to gravitate towards that. We want to gravitate towards that trauma instead of running from it. Instead of fleeing from it, we want to run towards it. Our present. Maybe our present just sucks. I have a post coming out, and I don't cuss, and so I'm going to right now. Turn it off. I'm kidding. Sometimes, y'all, we have to sit in the suck. We gotta sit here, and we gotta figure out, why are we here? Why are we here? I literally had to sit with my son. This was a horrible, horrible day for me. Sit with my son as he asked us to go to Cedar Point with him, and I said, I'm too big for the rides, honey, I can't. I didn't tell him that. I lied to him. I said we couldn't afford it. The reality was, had I not had those next 3 days to sit in the suck of what just happened, I would not be here today. You may have to face your demons head on. You may have to realize and say, you know what? I dealt with some trauma. I gotta get some counseling. We work with a counselor, guys. She's incredible. Clients who are waffling on that 30-pound mark, that is our number one suggestion. Please call Connie. Please call her. Help stop this train to the 30-pound crash. And the ones that do are soaring, literally soaring. I didn't know about this when I went through my stage, when I went through my weight loss. And I had to wrestle through some demons really bad, and I did it by myself. And it wasn't until I was in maintenance and I said, you know what, I think it's really important that I call Connie. And I went through 6 weeks with her. It was the healthiest thing I ever did. Healthy. Now she's on speed dial. So, we humans have become accustomed, just think about this, let this one sink in. We have become accustomed as Americans, and I don't know if this is an American thing, but living from excuse to excuse. You should hear the excuses that I get on the intake calls first, on the consult calls. One excuse after another. I couldn't give up this. I can't do that. I could, my schedule's not going to allow this. I have to go pick up my daughter. We have become accustomed to living from excuse to excuse. I became personally very lazy. My excuses of why I was not changing led my life. My biggest one was I've done everything before. I've done Weight Watchers. Guys, I probably spent thousands of dollars on Weight Watchers and Jenny. I tried it all. We lived excuses to excuses, but I used my physical pain as a band-aid and crutch. Well, I'm always going to be this way. My blood pressure is always going to be high because my dad's was high. Excuse to excuse. Remember I said pain is a comfort. We became friends. And sickness was my escape. I didn't have to go play with the family on the volleyball because my knees hurt. I didn't have to do any of those things. So depression became my way of life. And obesity for me was to cover a lot of emotions that I didn't want to deal with. I had enough of those to last me 6 months and probably 24/7 of counseling. So the other thing we have learned as Americans to mask this. We have learned to put a smile on our face. I remember when I was a lobbyist, I was oh my gosh, I could bring a politician to his knees when I lobbied. And my mentor, Jackie, you remember Jackie, she told me, Monica, you are working in a man's world. You do not show any emotion. They called me every name in the book. I was not allowed to cry. So I learned to mask my emotions, and I think we all do the same in our own way. We mask our emotions. The next thing we do, we don't just pick up this bag of 55-pound rocks. The next thing we do it one at a time. We don't have a plan. We let our schedules dictate us. We do not dictate our schedules. I tell you what, I don't know if this is politically correct or not. It may not be, so if it is, take it off the record. But when I get a call from somebody doing a consult call, if they're from New York, I know they're from New York, not because of any accent, but because they are so literally stressed out. I can't even get a word in edgewise. They're telling me about all of these things that they have to do, and then, but Monica, I'm calling you because I need help. And I'm like, well, where would I fit in that picture? Literally. And there is sometimes where I've had to let clients go, and I've had to say, and when you're ready to fix, when you're ready to let me fix some of your life, then we'll talk again. But we don't have a plan. We don't know how to lay the things down in our lives that we need to lay down. We have become so busy. There's things that we think in our lives are necessities, and they're really not in the big scheme of things. And so for us, when we get to a point when we're feeling like we're dealing with obesity, we're dealing with high blood pressure, we're dealing with all of these things, we know it's there, but we don't have a plan. Okay? It's important to get a plan. That's why I love to see my trackers. I love to see your meal plans. I love to see what your plan is. I will ask you sometimes on a call, maybe I think I've asked you a couple times, what are you going to let go in your schedule this week? What are you going to let go? I want you to, sometimes the only goal I have on our calls is next week, I want to know something that you dropped from that calendar that you really didn't need. And it's amazing what happens when you start to get a plan. We don't trust anyone else carrying it for us. Oh my gosh, are there any other type A control freaks in the room, or is it just me? My word. I have to control this. I will not let anybody help me. I will not tell my husband what I'm doing. I will not ask my husband for help because I can do it all. I know you can do it all, but I can't. I can't. So we don't trust people to help hold up our arms. In the Bible, I talk a lot about about the Israelites when they were leaving slavery and building altars and all of this thing. I was talking about all that, but Moses had to have his arms held up because he was tired. Is it Moses? Yeah, I get him all this stuff. One of those guys had to have Aaron hold up his arms when he was tired, and I think it's time that we start asking for help. It's okay to ask for help. I tell a lot of my women that I coach, I need you to tell your husband what you need. Do you need emotional encouragement? Do you need him to take that Snickers bar away? What do you need? He wants to know what you need. Is that true? Is that true? I'm gonna put you on the spot. You need to know what Ellen needs.
Yeah.
Because
Let
my
me help
emotional tantrum is not going to fix it for Brian. He's gonna be like, what the heck, lady? When all I needed him to do was just say, hey, I'm here for you. Or hey, I see that you passed that up. Tell your spouses what you need. Don't push them away. Accept their help. Tell them you can't do it alone. Because I couldn't. I needed all the support I could get, but I am too proud to ask for it. And that bit me in the butt several times where, you know, perhaps we've been hurt in the past. Perhaps those people that you're asking for help for have hurt you in the past. You know, maybe we don't want to ask for help because of that. Perhaps there's been some sexual abuse, emotional abuse. If we give it to someone, they will hurt us. If we tell somebody what we're doing, they're just going to let us down again. All of these things happen inside our minds. We don't even know it sometimes. The 30-pound mark. If I can get you past 30 pounds, if I can get you to 50, you're going to walk through that finish line. It's the stats that have been happening. Lack of motivation. Guys, getting healthy is hard work. It is really hard work, right? We stop tracking our macros. Number one reason why my clients are kicked off program. Stop tracking your macros. And I know that there's a big war on that. Monica, I don't want to be addicted to that thing. You know what? To me, it's freedom. When I went through COVID, I didn't go through COVID. When I went through quarantine, it felt like it because I am a people. I now understand why my dogs stand at the window and bark at the mailman because I was there looking for them. Every day she's there and I'm like, Charlotte, what's the matter? So when I dealt with the whole COVID emotional eating, guys, I was driven to the kitchen just like y'all were. I was driven. You know what kept me from gaining 15 COVID pounds? It's because every bite I took is in my chronometer. Every bite. That is freedom to me. It is not slavery to me. It is not slavery when I can look at my chronometer and say, you got 29 carbs left, babe. Let's go have some blueberries. Right? That's not slavery. That's freedom. I didn't have to worry about gaining a pound because every bite I took was in there. And I understand, I totally get that there's triggers for eating disorders. I get that. And there's some suggestions. Darcy and I were talking about some of the suggestions this week about what to do, for eating disorders and things like that. I will never live without my chronometer. I just won't because I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. So lack of motivation. Living on excuses, we talked about that a little bit. I have always been this way. My family is big boned. I am, my dad has high blood pressure. Diabetes runs in our family. We can live from one excuse to another. So if we are not all in, if we don't get past that 30-pound syndrome, we will fall to one of these. I guarantee you, you will fall to one of these excuses if you have not passed that 30-pound mark even in your mind. Not talking physical, I'm talking about there's nothing. You can wrestle me down. There was somebody who posted on my page, and make sure they're not in here. It made me mad, and I'm not going to tell you I was reading it on the road. Maybe Sarah read it to me, I forget. But I was talking about the fact that I'm not an intuitive coach. I do not believe in intuitive eating. Maybe it's just because I'm personally not there yet, and that I have not captured intuitive eating. If I was going to intuitive eat, my intuition says go to Dairy Queen. I cannot rely on my feelings to get me through, that. And he was arguing with me about, this guy on Facebook was arguing with me on intuitive eating. And he was talking about how tracking can, it's just slavery. I listen to my body. I listened to my body when I ate that donut. I listened. It was really good. It was not bad at all. But intuitive eating is not the way I live. And maybe someday I'll be at a retreat like this and I'll say, I have won the battle. But I haven't, guys. I have not won that battle. This girl still tracks her food. She still tracks her food. When she goes back to the cabin, what I had on that plate tonight will be in my chronometer because I don't ever want to go back. The other thing is we have power in that. This thing tomorrow what's on here, but this thing is gonna go out there tomorrow. I'm not picking it back up. Y'all can hold me accountable to this, but it has to do with the accountability that we give ourselves. Chronometer is one of them. Or card manager. You talked about card manager tonight. We don't have a plan. Oh, apparently that was really important because that's on there twice. But here's another angle to that. When the excuses hit, we don't have a counter answer for that. What do you do when Aunt Marty is giving you her, oh, that's where I was going with that, with that post. He was like, I always eat, what people give me. And if I offend them, then, then I eat that carb. No, honey, never. My health is worth more than your feelings.
Absolutely.
At this point. So there is no negotiation. There is no cheating. There is no compromise in my life at all. Because that one compromise with Aunt Marty's house is going to lead to a trip to DQ on the way home, because we already crashed that day, so we might as well completely crash it, we might as well at least enjoy it. So we don't have a plan when excuses hit. Those excuses are coming. If you've not experienced them, you haven't been loud enough about keto, right? Or maybe you're doing silent excuses. But if you don't have a plan to back that up, if you don't know right now what you would tell Aunt Marty when you went to her house and she offered you a piece of cake, you're gonna crash. If you do not know your answer right now, if you have any sort of compromise in that answer at all, and some of you can disagree with me, that's totally fine. You're not gonna hurt my feelings, right? But if you don't have an answer now, and maybe you do have an answer of, okay, yeah, I'd eat that cake. That's great. But if you don't have an answer, you're going to crash. Number 12 is fear. These are all labeled wrong, so it's not really number 12, but we're gonna call it number 12. It's fear. How many of you guys are afraid of this journey? Afraid of that 30-pound mark? You're afraid to change? You're afraid, maybe you compromised and you're like, I'm too afraid to get back on because I compromised and I crashed. Fear is a reason why we pick that bag up and we don't even know we're doing it. So we carry the weight. We carry it with us every single day. The thing is, guys, I'm here to tell you, and there's nothing I could say psychologically, there's nothing I could say scientifically. I just am here to tell you that I'm living it. I was literally hopeless. Every diet in the book. I did it all. And what is it, two and a half years into the journey of maintaining is possible. So if you don't pull anything out of this weekend, I want you to pull that there's hope and that there's freedom. But if you want that freedom, we can do all of the things. I'm gonna talk about that after Brady's done talking. We're gonna answer keto questions. We can talk about all the things. But if you don't commit yourself, and if you don't understand the fact that there is freedom after weight loss, and that you can walk in it, and you can walk with joy, that's what I want you to leave here with this weekend. I also want you to leave here with the fact, with the 30-pound mark in your mind. Guys, if there's anything I can do, if there's anything Brady can do to stop that crash from happening, we want to do it. Sometimes we have to give ourselves, and I took this from you, Don, and I hope you talk about it tomorrow. Our phone call the other day was impactful to me, because I've noticed it in my clients. Our identity. You all know where your identity is. Maybe you're looking for it, but sometimes I think it's important that we give ourselves permission to be healed. We give ourselves permission to grab onto a brand new identity. Some of you guys are gonna leave here with a brand new identity because you're gonna leave that crap out there, right? You're gonna leave it out there. Whether it be emotional, maybe, Angie, I'm gonna call you out because I'm gonna call you out later anyway. Angie and Carrie, you reach goal. Some of the things that we do on this side of maintenance, we'll go grab these rocks, we'll go pick them back up. And we'll be carrying them, and you'll wonder, well, did I just gain 20 pounds? I call you that the other day. I think I just gained 5 pounds. We carry, it's excuses we've picked back up, lives that we've rebought. So I'm gonna tell you that if you're on, wherever you are on your journey, we still carry the rocks. The ones who have reached. And maybe it hasn't happened yet, But there's coming a time where, Angie, you're gonna pick up this rock, it's really pretty, you're artistic, you like to do, you got busy, your grandkids were over, you got the church over, you're just, and you're gonna find yourself picking up these rocks again. You're gonna let your guard down. So I'm telling you, for every person in this room, there's a place. You are on this journey, you're on this place, and just because we've reached maintenance, I know I'm carrying a couple of rocks. I know I'm carrying a bunch of weight that needs to come off. Whoops. Put mine back in there. Although maybe some of y'all want to drop it for me. All right, so tomorrow we're going to do just that. We are going to do a really intense exercise. Dawn's going to wake us up in the morning. She's going to have devotions. She's an author. Don't forget to look at her books back there. She's amazing. She does the Freedom Girl podcast, Sisterhood podcast. So you've got to find that online. But tomorrow is going to be intense. So I want you, and Brandy's going to talk a little bit about this as well, but I want you to start thinking, I want you to start processing in your mind. If you've thought of something that is getting you down, that is holding you captive, I want you to write that down now, because I'm going to want you to go back to your rooms tonight and process some of those things, okay? Now it's my privilege. I got to meet Brandy last January, 2